Good morning, sir.
Good morning, ma. Hello. Good morning, sir. Uh, 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 internet slow ఉందేమో చూడండి సార్. స్క్రీన్ మీద ఏం కనిపించట్లేదా? Ma, are you able to hear my voice? Are you able to see the screen?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, ma. Let me wait for a few more minutes. Only 3 participants now. Now are you able to hear? I'm using microphone.
Yes, sir.
Is that okay?
We are able to hear,
Okay,
sir.
okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, ma. Okay. Okay, ma. Let us start the class today. Okay. Yesterday we have discussed regarding to the universal banking. I hope all of you have understood regarding to universal banking. Now let us move to the another banking system. It is nothing but narrow banking system. First of all, let us see the definition part. Later we will be going into detail. A narrow bank can be defined as a system of banking under which a bank places its funds in risk-free assets with maturity period matching its liability maturity profile. So, before going into definition part, first of all, let us try to understand the literal meaning of narrow banking. So, in the terminology itself, it is there, narrow. In general, if any person is supposed to speak in small manner, then the people will be saying you have to think in broad manner. Please wait, my announcement is going on in college. అక్క అక్క కొంచెం ఇది డోర్ వేసేవా అదే వాయిస్ ఎక్కువ ఉంది మేడంది కొంచెం డోర్ దగ్గరకేవా రైట్ సో people will be saying that you are supposed to think in broad manner. That means narrow. Narrow is nothing but in small manner. That means whenever the banking it is doing its activities in risk-free manner, then such kind of banking is called as narrow banking. That means it is not at all going to invest any part of its assets in risk manner. So now let us move to the definition. It will be clarified. A narrow bank can be defined as a system of banking under which here you are supposed to concentrate ma. A bank places its funds in risk-free assets. Simple thing. You are having 1 lakh rupee. There are two ways. One thing, you can lend that money privately. Second thing, you can invest that money in bank, any public sector bank. In public sector bank, if you are supposed to invest, you are supposed to get a rate of return of 4% or 5%. But if you are supposed to lend the same money outside, then you are supposed to gain 2 rupees or 3 rupees according to your wish. So here the risk factor here you have to consider. In public sector bank, there is 100% assurance, not only the capital, but also the interest will be paid according to your choice. It might be days, weeks, months, quarterly, half-yearly, or annually. Definitely, it will be repaid back. But what about if you are supposed to lend that money outside? It is really a big question mark. Can you definitely say if the party to whom that the amount that you have lent over, if he meets his debt, then who is supposed to pay that money? Can you go legally? Can you say that all of your money is legal? A very, very big question mark. So that is the risk part. So more risk that you are happening, more amount that you will be gaining over, more profit that you are gaining over. Already I have said that if you are supposed to lend your money outside, you can charge 2 rupees, 3 rupees, 4 rupees rate of interest. If you are supposed to go for bank, then the bank is supposed to give only 20 paise, 30 paise on the same amount. That is the difference between risk-free and non-risk. So in the same manner, whenever a bank places its fund in risk-free assets with maturity period matching its liability maturity period. That means as a commerce student, you know, in a balance sheet, there are assets as well as liabilities. So how it is supposed to invest its amount when the liabilities are supposed to occur on particular day, the same date you are also receiving the money in order to offset that liability. Let me take one example. Rajesh, he has taken 1 lakh rupee from Suresh. Rajesh, he has taken 1 lakh rupee from Suresh. He has to pay that money 1 year after. And Rajesh, once again, what he is doing after taking that 1 lakh rupee, he is investing in government security bonds. And what he is doing, he is matching the period that to repay back that amount with Rajesh. In that manner, this narrow banking will be also doing. The liability maturity period will be offset with the funds that it has kept over in the risk-free asset. Now let me take a short break, and let me see how many of you understood this particular definition part. If yes, please give thumbs up. Thank you, Shravan. What about some? Oh, Samuel. Thank you, Samuel. Dinesh, only Dinesh hasn't responded. All have responded. Thank you, ma. Right. Now, let us move into the key features. No lending of deposits. That means, in the previous classes, if you have remembered regarding to the creation of credit, there I have said that. That means I am supposed to fix a deposit a 1 lakh rupee in SBI. SBI, it is gaining 1 lakh rupee from me. And that 1 lakh rupee, it is supposed to give to its customers who are supposed to come to them in the form of loans. That means the main feature of the bank that we have said is accepting deposit and lending loans. So from the amount that deposit has been made over, it is not supposed to lend the deposits. That's why here we are saying it is playing a safe role. That means it is not at all giving any form of loan in this kind of banking system. Second one, investment in extremely high liquidity. So once again, as a commerce student, you know the literal meaning of liquidity. In assets, if you are supposed to see over, there are different kinds of assets like current asset, liquid asset, fixed asset, floating asset. In that manner, there are different kinds of assets. So here what it is supposed to do, it is invest in extremely high liquidity. High liquidity is nothing but either it might be cash. The first and foremost thing, a very good liquid asset is nothing but cash. Second thing, other liquid asset, you can say gold, silver or precious items. And another form, government bonds or equities. So whenever you are supposed to sell these things in the market, easily you can convert them into cash. So it is supposed to invest in such kind where high liquidity is possible. Next, extremely high asset security. This is what I am speaking over. Asset security. In the first example, I have given you that if you are having 1 lakh rupee, you are playing a safe role. For that purpose, for that instance, you are depositing that money in public sector bank, because in public sector bank you are having an assurance that not only the capital but also the returns will be also paid periodically. But if you are supposed to lend the same thing in the outside, then it is really a very big question mark for you whether your money is guaranteed or not. That means you are playing your asset in highly secured area. The same thing here also, the narrow bank, what it is supposed to do, it will be depositing its amount in extremely high asset security. Where that security will be happen, that means this kind of banking will be depositing its amount in government sectors. That means whenever the government it needs funds, then these kinds of banks will be investing in that particular area. Next, lower interest rate. Yes, definitely when you are not supposed to assume the high risk, then definitely the returns will be also in low. For that instance, I have given the example in the first itself. If you are supposed to deposit in the bank, then you can't expect 2 rupees or 3 rupees rate of interest, because the purpose why you have deposited your money is only for the sake of security rather than the interest. So here the bank it is supposed to give only 20 paise or 30 paise of rate of interest. The same manner here also, whenever the narrow banking, it is supposed to invest its money in non-risk asset sector, then definitely it will be getting only a lower rate of interest rate. Next, no off-balance sheet assets. Oh, what do you literally mean off-balance sheet assets? See, definitely any company or businesses, what they are supposed to see, definitely they have to show all kind of assets and liabilities in its balance sheet. So this narrow banking, it will be presenting all kind of assets and liabilities in balance sheet. That means here clear transparency will be possible. In some companies, what they will be doing, there will be some off balance sheet assets. Simply saying, if your father is supposed to earn some money, either it might be through a job or from outside, what they will be doing, they are not supposed to pay entire taxes. So they will be reducing that tax rate. In general manner, if we want to speak as white money, black money. So white money is nothing but when you are supposed to pay taxes, it is supposed to call as white money. When you are escaping from taxes, that part of money is supposed to call as black money. So this black money will be not recorded in any of your balance sheet. Then such kind of asset is supposed to call, because still you are supposed to use such kind of asset for your growth. Then such kind of asset is supposed to call as off balance asset sheets. So in this kind of investment banking, there will be no possibility of off balance sheet assets. Next, no derivatives are there in narrow banking. Okay, Ma, this is really a big thing in order to understand you now, but let me give one example regarding to derivative part. So derivative is nothing but derived. Derivative is nothing but derived. From milk, what can we derive over? We can derive curd, that means yogurt. After that, ghee, right? Once again, you can have butter, and thick milk. Like that, from one particular milk, we can derive so many byproducts. In the same manner, here also derivatives will be not possible. That means we are not supposed to derive such kind of instruments in this kind of banking. Rather than this banking, another banking, they will be making possible of derivatives. So in narrow banking, we can't expect derivatives here. Right, ma? These are the key features regarding to the narrow banking. Let me see how many of you understand this particular narrow banking. Thank you, Prashant. Thank you, Swaroop. Ranjit Shravan, what about you? Okay, ma. Now let us go into another topic. Offshore banking. Right. Before going into the topic, let us see the definition part. A bank that is located in a jurisdiction or country that is different from jurisdiction or country that the depositor or investor resides. Please try to understand this definition. If you are supposed to understand this definition, then there is no particular subject matter to understand regarding to offshore banking. A bank that is located in a jurisdiction or country that is different from jurisdiction or country that the depositor or investor resides. Simple thing. In India, you also know that whenever any government is supposed to come over, they will be saying that we will be getting back the information from Swiss accounts. Swiss accounts is nothing but Switzerland bank accounts. I think all of you are aware regarding to these things. Is there, if yes, please give thumbs up. Right, thank you. Why particular any government? Of course, Narendra Modi ji, he has also said that definitely we will be taking back the data from the Swiss accounts. That means the people residing in India. Just now I have said that there will be two kind of amounts like white money and black money. So people, they will be depositing their amount in Switzerland bank. Now you say, can India can control banks that have been placed in Switzerland? It will be highly impossible because our country is completely different and Switzerland country is completely different. Switzerland is not a part of India. At the same time, the rules and regulations in India are completely different from the part of rules and regulations of Switzerland. That is, here you have to understand. Second thing, in India itself, we will be having some kind of rules and regulations where even the government it itself, it can't enter there. Very good example, SEZ. SEZ. SEZ is nothing but Special Economic Zones. Why these zones have been developed over means only for the sake of generation of revenue. Particularly this kind of SEZ will be developed over at the part of exporting places, export and importing places. That means you can expect near the coastal areas these CES places will be developed over. So those in those special economic zones, completely the rules and regulations that have made over all part of India will be not part of that particular place. That means even if any crime has been happened over there, or any laws has been implemented in India, it will be not applicable in CES. Simple thing, if government has increased corporate tax from 10% to 20%, it will be applicable to entire India, but not to those that part of companies which are being placed in CES. Because already I have said that these companies that have been established in CES only for the sake of generation of revenue for the nation. Ma, please mute yourself. Right. So in this manner, in that jurisdiction also, whenever a bank have been laid down, its branches, then also the country will not, the government will not interfere in that particular place. Someone is continuously disturbing me, ma. Please wait. Right. Okay, ma. How many of you understood this uh, definition, ma? Please give thumbs up. Thank you. Now, let us see. So I am showing you what are the participation of Indian banks in special economic zones. State Bank of India, Indian Overseas Bank, Bank of India, Bank of Baroda, ICICI Bank. These banks, they are having their branches in CES. So the rules that have been made for these particular banks will be not applicable in special economic zones. That means even if you are supposed to invest your money in that particular CES area, government is not supposed to question you. That is the major advantage, ma. Now let us see the benefits of offshore banking. First and foremost thing, huge inflow of foreign exchange. So definitely we can say that foreign deposits or foreign reserves can be enhanced over. Already I have said that our people, whenever that they want to safeguard their money that have been developed by illegal manner, then they will be safeguarding it in another jurisdiction or country. So in that manner, our Indian currency will be moving from India to Switzerland. In that manner, the flow of currency from one country to another currency will be moving out. That is the first thing. In that manner, foreign reserves will be generated. Second thing, higher interest rates on deposit. So already I have said that here the government taxes will be not applicable. Whenever government taxes are not applicable, then what will be happen? There is also a scope for the banks in order to queue higher rate of interest. Just now in the previous classes we have discussed regarding to the CRR rate, SLR rate, bank rate, repo rate, reverse repo rate. It is nothing but the monetary policy. So that monetary policy will be not applicable for these banks which have been placed either in our jurisdiction or another countries. So that definitely these banks will be enjoying less tariff rates and they are able in a position to give higher rate on the deposits. And next thing, no reserve requirement. In the previous, we have discussed regarding to the cash rate, CRR, cash reserve rate. That means definitely some banks that they have to maintain some minimum cash reserves with them. That the CRR particularly with RBI. That means some part of either 10%, 20% of their cash, they have to maintain a 10% of reserve with RBI. In the same manner, SLR also we have said that. But if these banks have been placed their branches in CES or another countries, then definitely there is no such requirement in order to maintain cash reserves. Next, interest rates are not controlled. Already I have said that tax exemptions will be happen over. So whenever tax exemptions have been happened over, in the second point we have said that higher interest on deposits will be given over, so that what will be happen? Each and every people, they will be showing interest in order to invest their amount in this kind of banking system. So that these banks once again in order to attract the customers, as there is no hand in order to control this particular banking system, definitely these banks will be giving higher rate of interest, so that interest rates are not controlled by the government. And next thing, income generated in the forms of license fee. Yes. So once again, from different mode, these banks will be generating income. That form is nothing but license fee. That means on behalf of this bank, if any other such banks are supposed to establish, then definitely they will be claiming licenses. Simple example, if you want to ride my bike, I am supposed to give license. That means you are only the authorized person in order to deal such thing. Another good example that you can take over, if you want to exchange your foreign currency, there are some other private exchange officers. Very good example, in Bhopal complex, you can see UAE exchange. So it is not a public. It is a private and it is an licensed owner. That means only if it has taken license from the government, then they can be dealing over. In such manner, by giving licenses, once again, it can be generating income. Next, enhances country's image. Particularly, the country's image will be degrading, rather than enhancing, because here the government will be not having any control. At the same time, different forms of money will be coming over and different people will be investing their money over. I don't think so enhance the country's image will be enhanced over, rather than it will be degrading, up to my part. And next thing, infrastructure development. Of course, in the previously itself I've said that why this kind of banking will be developed means only for the sake of revenue generation. So whenever the revenue generation has been happened, then definitely we can say that infrastructure development can be happen over. So these are the benefits of offshore banking. Now let me see how many of you understood these benefits. Thank you, Prasanna. Thank you, Shravan. Thank you, Prashant. Thank you. And let me conclude this part now. Now, disadvantages. Less financial secure. Right. I think in the movies also you have seen whenever the people that they are supposed to invest their money in Switzerland banks or Swiss banks, then you are not giving entire details to that particular bank. At the same time, the bank also is not supposed to give the account books on your name. Just they are supposed to generate only one some kind of ID. Simple thing, when I have generated a meeting ID in Zoom, I am not supposed to give on my name. Zoom itself, it is supposed to create some ID. With that ID, you are supposed to log in. The same thing, whenever you are supposed to invest your amount in that particular bank, they will be not asking either your Aadhaar account or some details. Because why these kind of offshore banks have been developed means only in order to attract the people to come and deposit in their banks, and at the same time for the sake of revenue generation. When these aspects are there, then definitely less financial security can be happen. Once again, if those banks are supposed to seize your accounts, then you are not supposed to go to international court or any other court for your money, because all your money is from wrong side. And second thing, development of money laundering. So money laundering, in other language we can say as hawala vyaparam. That means, once again, illegally we are supposed to export our businesses or our money without paying taxes. That is supposed to call as money laundering. That means without paying any single rupee to the government, we are transferring our money from our country to another country. In this manner, money laundering will be happen. And next, offshore jurisdictions are often remote and costly to visit. Hence, physical access can be difficult. Right. It is the major thing. Offshore jurisdiction are often remote and costly to visit. Actually, in such areas, the government people, unless until if they are not supposed to have a permit from higher institutions, no person will be enabled to enter into such areas. Even though the government people, they themselves, they can't enter without any order into special economic zones. And second thing, our government, they have to make a request for Switzerland bank. When the Switzerland government, they have given permission, then only we can inspect their accounts. So in this manner, definitely offshore jurisdictions are very remote and costly to which, particularly not costly, they will be supposed to obstruct us. Because if it is supposed to make very clear vision, then what will be happen? The people will be not make to move their money transactions from their country to the host country. For that purpose, they will be restricting all the government norms to come and make an inquiry regarding to the vision of the accounts. And finally, useful for high income people. Yes, definitely we can say that it will be not serving for low income people. So the higher income people, definitely I am not supposed to say, it might be either the industrial person or business person or political people. The people who are supposed to generate high source of incomes, these people what will be doing? Definitely they will be not supposed to pay entire amount for the sake of taxes. Definitely they will be skipping the taxes. So in order to skip the taxes, definitely they will be using money laundering people. So in that manner, these kind of banks, Swiss banks will be helpful only for those people where the generation of revenue is in high levels. So you and me, we are unable to open an account in Switzerland because those are very costlier, and it is not easy that we are supposed to think of opening an account in SBI or any other public or private sector bank. Those accounts are very costlier, and maintenance of those accounts and maintenance of complete information will be highly confidential. For that purpose, only the higher income people where they want to escape the taxes, it will be surviving very good for those income people, but not you and me. So these are the limitations of offshore banking. Okay, have you understood these two topics, ma? Offshore banking as well as narrow banking. Yes, in your examination, particularly these questions will be asking for short answer question, ma. Either they may be asking offshore banking, just they will be giving write a short note. All those things they will be not asking, ma. Just they will be saying offshore banking or unit banking. Of course, unit banking, branch banking, these two topics will be coming for long answer question. What do you mean by unit bank? What are the advantages and disadvantages? What do you mean by branch banking? Advantages, disadvantages. But when it comes for universal banking, narrow banking, offshore banking, retail banking, commercial banking, all these will be coming for short answer question. Okay, are you having any doubts, ma? If you are having any doubts, now I am giving you permission. Please unmute yourself and you can raise doubts. Yes, Shravan, please go, ma. No doubts? If no doubts, please give thumbs up. Okay. Prasanna, do you want to speak anything? Prasanna Sivasai? Okay, ma. Now I am supposed to end the
Can
meeting,
you
ma.
explain the definition of offshore
Yes.
bank?
Offshore banking. Okay, ma. Offshore banking is nothing but, okay, let me show the picture and I will explain so that you will be easily understand. Right. Now, see, ma. A bank that is located in a jurisdiction or country that is different from jurisdiction. That means you can assume this bank as a foreign bank. You can assume this bank as a foreign bank, just like Citibank, HSBC Bank. So HSBC, Hong Kong Shanghai Banking Corporation. In the name itself, it is very clear that HSBC is related to China, right? So if Chinese bank has been set up here, then it will be multinational bank. At the same time, it will be offshore bank for China. HSBC Bank, it is an offshore bank for China, right? Once again, all Indian banks will also become offshore banks for another countries. Prasanna, are you able to understand, ma?
Yes, sir.
In India, we are having SBI Bank. Okay, it will be working according to Indian norms so that it will become an offshore bank for China, Japan, UK, US. Right? In the same manner for us, India, this HSBC, Citibank, all these are also another nation's bank. For us, it will become offshore banks. In this manner, whenever a bank has been located rather than our jurisdiction and country, then that such banks are supposed to call as offshore banking. Still any more doubts, ma? Prasanna, is that clear? If yes, please give thumbs up, ma. I am unable to hear your voice. Okay, ma. I am supposed to end the meeting now. If you are having still any doubts, please raise your doubts in Google Classroom.